Well, I think my friends and family would say I'm a bit of a freak of nature in the sense that I never tire of the struggle. I just believe in it. It's part of who I am. It's in my DNA.
It's extremely important for women who have cracked those barriers to recognize that there's a whole job to be done in terms of supporting other women and not reaching the point of making the mistake of saying, well, I've done it, so why can't other women do it? The fact is there are very real barriers that remain.
I actually believe that huge numbers of women feel the need to be in the struggle. I'm Alexa McDonough, the former leader of the federal New Democratic Party, previously the Nova Scotia New Democratic Party, and I'm now serving as interim president of Mount St. Vincent University here in Nova Scotia. I never can really explain it when people ask me whatever made you do it, what made you take a flying leap into the political arena when you didn't know much about politics, and you had two small kids, a husband with a busy law practice. There were a number of influences. I had become very close personal friends with Rosemary Brown, who was, for me, an icon, a real mentor. And when she would try to coax me to run, I would say, Rosemary, I don't really know enough. She said, don't use that excuse. I was an immigrant to this country when I ran. I hadn't been in the country 10 years when I ran and got elected in British Columbia. So what are your other excuses? Well, I have two small children. She said, that's not a good enough excuse. I had 3 small children when I ran. I said, well, if I run, I've got to run against my husband's law partner. She said, no problem. I ran against my husband's medical partner and I beat him for the nomination. So I have to say I was very inspired. Got a lot of encouragement from my family at a young age that politics mattered, that democracy mattered. But I also know that I was influenced. Some people laugh when I say this. I spent most of my youth dancing. I wasn't very good at it. I was kind of a chubby little kid, but I had a fabulous ballet teacher who thought her pupils could do anything. So I think she encouraged me to take flying leaps and believe I'd land on my feet. I served in the Nova Scotia legislature when there were no other women. It was me and 51 men, both conservatives and liberals. It did make a difference when I found myself in a caucus that had a large number of women in it. I think, women aren't less partisan, frankly. And I'm not sure I would even advocate that women be less partisan. I think you ought to believe in the party that you decide to align yourself with. What I do think is true is that there's more possibility for collaboration among women. There are issues that are across party lines, sharing in common, issues increasingly that feminist men understand, but without, on a simple fairness basis, doesn't make sense in a democracy to have less than equal numbers of men and women. But I think women are less likely to be grabbing for the headlines and more likely to try to solve problems in practical ways. I don't have any poll results, I don't have any surveys that would tell me, but I think that young women mistakenly believe that equality is here, that equality has been achieved, that life is going to be a lot easier for them because of those early struggles. And I think that's only partially true. I think women need to understand, young women need to understand that there are still many, many battles to be fought. There's still many breakthroughs required. And those problems are only going to be solved through the political process. And if there aren't more women who are involved, they're not going to be solved.
I really appreciate you coming down and focusing.
Not everybody's going to be a candidate, but what we need is a much more robust involvement in politics. Well, there's hardly any more fascinating career than being in political office. And I say that not meaning, you feel like you're an important person, but I think there's few things more rewarding, really, than participating in public life. There's a lot of cynicism about politics these days, and one of my objectives is to try to talk to people about how they can chase their dreams, they can hang on to their ideals and their values. In fact, the more strongly people feel about that, the more I'm passionate about trying to persuade them to enter the political process.